Portia Danzig.
I'm Heidi Bedoni.
Thanks for tuning in on Fab News tonight. Tonight our cover story is on human trafficking. What is human trafficking? Human trafficking is much more inclusive than what you might think. It also occurs in more than what is shown in media. Oklahoma is one of the most active human trafficking hubs in America because of the 3 separate highways perfectly meeting. Human trafficking includes child abduction, as in someone stealing someone else's child, human entrapment, forced prostitution, forced labor, forced marriage, organ theft from hospitals or mortuaries, selling a child, forced child labor, and trafficking labor by boat. Such crimes are occurring in Nepal after the devastating earthquake last year. With a crumbling economic and social structure, crime is running rampant. An average of 250 children have already been accounted for as victims of human trafficking. UNICEF, United Nations Children's Emergency Fund, which provides long-term humanitarian and developmental assistance to children and mothers in developing countries, has made huge advancements to create an awareness and create safe spaces for orphan children. Now to my colleague, Heidi Bedoni.
Hello, good evening. I'm Heidi Bedoni, as you already know. Why does human trafficking occur? Such a sad and terrible crime that is happening, all for the money. As we already know, trafficking primarily involves exploitation, which comes in many forms, including forcing victims into prostitution, subjecting victims into slavery. Beware of all criminals, because with a background they have, they can't even get anywhere. So they switch to an illegal job involving lives of innocents. Human trafficking is the largest international crime industry, behind illegal drugs. Mostly innocents of the young and women and children are being taken because they are sold with big cash. Between 7,000 to 1 million human trafficking victims are counted in the United Nations every year. 80% of the 80% of the victims are sold into the sex trade industry so they could make loads of money off these people. California harbors 3 of the FBI's 13 highest child sex trafficking areas on the nation: Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego. I can't imagine the family missing a member due to the horrifying tragic. Now to our correspondent, Audrey.
Hi, I'm Audrey DiBiase. So how does human trafficking occur? Modern slavery isn't just something that happens in backwards countries. It continues in the most developed countries in the world, including the US. Victims can be women or men, or adults or children, foreign nationals or US citizens. While they share the trait of vulnerability, victims have diverse ethnic and socioeconomic backgrounds, varied levels of education, and may be documented or undocumented. These victims of human trafficking are frequently lured by false promises of a lucrative job, stability, education, or a loving relationship. Here's how that might work. A woman in a poor Eastern European country sees a billboard advertising glamorous waitressing jobs in Paris or New York City. Eager for a chance to work in an affluent country where people make their own destinies, she calls the number on the billboard. She's told that for $3,000, a company will take her to Paris or New York, where she can claim the waitressing job. She gathers up the money or agrees to pay the company out of her waitressing earnings and boards a plane. When the plane lands, however, that woman isn't taken to a cafe or restaurant. Instead, she's taken to a brothel, where she's sold to the owner and forced to become a prostitute. She must pay off that $3,000, she is told, and in addition to the daily room and board. She's in a country where she knows no one, where she has no official paperwork, and where she's been threatened with violence or death if she runs away from the brothel. If she's not taken to a brothel, she might be taken to a sweatshop, where she works alongside small children for 15 hours a day. She might work in a private home, tending to a family's needs, unlike a nanny or a housekeeper. However, she'll never receive a paycheck or a chance to talk to her family again. This same situation is seen time and time again, with just the bait change depending on the victim. Sometimes traffickers pretend to be a love interest, other times they offer whatever the victim wants at the time: money, a better life, love, friendship, or security. It's a crime that many people want to put an end to, but it will not be easy. The way to start ending this horrible crime starts with knowing how to prevent that. And for that part of the coverage, it's now over to Brooklyn Wilson.
Good evening, I'm Brooklyn Wilson. Now that you know what human trafficking is, we're going to tell you how you can protect yourself and your loved ones from becoming victims of human trafficking. First, know the danger zones. Many states will provide demographics for where human trafficking most often occurs. If you are traveling, especially at night, know which areas to make stops in order to prevent an attack. Also, look for the yellow Safe Place signs outside certain gas stations, libraries, and police stations. These signs let travelers know that the employees are trained to handle situations in which travelers feel that they are being followed or may be attacked. Globally, 5.5 million children are victims of human trafficking every year. To prevent your child from becoming a victim, never leave children unattended, even in a locked car, when making stops at gas stations or convenience stores, as these are areas known for being heavily trafficked. Always walk children to and from the bus or school, and always be aware when children are playing outside. Do your research and only purchase products from businesses you know do not import goods from foreign markets, as these products are very commonly produced by child slaves. A continued support of online fundraisers to prevent human trafficking, as well as continuing to spread awareness of the dangers of human trafficking, will not only help to prevent others from becoming victims, but will take us one step closer to ending human trafficking for all.